I'm going to be showing you how to go through the engraving process using GG2 and GhostWriter. This will assume that you already have the GG2 file from GhostWriter, so I'll skip over that part. Let's begin. For this, we'll be using some of the hardware from the AR-15 milling kit from Defense Distributed, the engraving jig set from GG2, a 45-degree engraving bit, and a 1/4 inch 28 tap, which will be for cleaning the grip screw threads, get good continuity for the probe wire. First, spray a little WD-40 on the tap. That will lubricate the cutting threads and help it cut better and clean things out. As you can see, the tap did clean some stuff out of the threads. I'm going to insert my lower into the jig next and attach the probe wire. You can follow your instructions in the file on the screen to do the same. And we'll pick up once I get my lower into the jig. Alright, I'm going to start putting my T-nut screws in and start going through the instructions page at a time, following them and reading them fully. You can do the same with your on-screen instructions in GG2 as you go through the engraving software. You will be using the T-nut slots, 3 of them that came with your milling kit and 2 that come with your engraving kit. Alright, I'm at the step where it says slide the jig left. If we go down here to the machine, I usually stick the left side in first, and then rock the right side in. Once you get it seated in place, you should be able to slide it left and right, and you'll hear the end mill hitting between the lower and the jig on the other side. I'll try and get a good angle here. And this is hitting the jig. It should be trapped inside there on this side. When you are doing the probing, you will be using the 1/4 inch end mill that came with your milling kit. One of the common mistakes is when they probe it and insert it into the machine, they line it up so that the lower is lined up about here with the end mill. When you do it, it should be about here so that when it probes the Z, it will come in contact with the grip location right here. Also notice that your engraving jigs did not come with all of the screws. You will be using some of the screws that were included with the kit, and you will be using screws that come with your milling jig from Defense Distributed. Alright, you should also have a multimeter. You should set it to DC voltage, which is right here. I have mine set to 20 volts because it should be reading 5 or close to it. You might be above or below just a little bit, which is no big deal. I'd say if yours is about 4.5 volts, you might want to try different USB ports so that you don't get an error. Typically, I place the negative end fluke on the T-table, and I put the positive lead inside the pocket where it is directly touching the aluminum of the lower. You are receiving your 5 volts on the lower itself. I recommend checking on the lower and not the probe wire, because when it probes, it's looking for the 5 volts on the lower. So if you have 5 volts there, you're safe to begin the probe. I'll hit next here. And press next. We'll begin to warm up the spindle for about 3 minutes. It says probe successful, so we will go on to the next step, which is tool changeout. We will then stop the spindle, move it inside the mag well. We will remove the end mill and replace it with your engraving bit. When replacing the end mill with the engraving bit, be aware that the bit is sharp. You want to make sure it's fully inserted into the spindle before tightening. It is recommended that you wear gloves. If you do not have any gloves, make sure you have some bandages on hand. It will take some moving around of the wrenches to make sure that you get it tight, but it is very important that you have the end mill in there very tight so that it does not back out while it is working. Alright, we are at the step where we will begin engraving. Once the machine moves, it will engrave the Z again so that it is right on the surface. For this, you can, if it would make you feel better, insert your probes again just like before, and make sure you are getting your 5 volts before hitting next. Getting its last probe here. There was 5 volts on the lower.